So it's 7 o'clock here in Norway, and it's time for a new Facebook Live. Let me just give everyone some time to find the live and for me to adjust everything and to be able to see your comments. So, welcome everyone. I'm Lisbeth from Nordic Dog Trainer. If you would like to introduce yourself in the comments, I would love to hear where you are because we're always such an international community. I know takes a little while before Facebook is showing that I'm live, or I don't really know how this is happening, but what I do know is that we are not able to stream using Zoom, so I'm not able to show you any PowerPoints during these Facebook lives until I find out how to use a third-party app. Um, well, that's technical. I'm not going to worry about that. I have to be worried about that. How to learn something new, technical. Hi, Monica, you're here. I know you are in the States, so I think you're 6 hours behind, something like that, 6, 7 hours. We have Joan in the Netherlands, Maria in Spain. Linda is also in the Netherlands. Thank you for being here. So, tonight I want to talk about how to introduce dogs to each other. This is a question we get quite frequently in different seminars and different courses we have. Um, and it's not we really don't need a PowerPoint for this because it's kind of just a few things you have to remember to do in order to introduce them in a nice and calm way. We also have Colleen in Scotland. Oh, that's nice. I love Scotland. Um, okay, Monica, so it's 5 hours only. Okay, good to know. And we have Luca Borg, same surname as I do, in Croatia. Welcome. Another Borg. It's nice. And Michael is here from Belgium. Okay, so if you have any questions related to the topic of introducing dogs to each other for the first time, please write so in the comments. We have approximately 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes sometimes for the Facebook Live. So I'm happy to answer your questions. I feel I have a lot of personal experience in introducing dogs to each other. Because, first of all, I've been working with dogs full time now for many, many years, and I've done numerous, I don't know how many, hundreds it must be, courses for dog owners. But also, I have taken in many dogs in my own home. In Norway, we don't have shelters as such. We do have some private rehoming places, but very few. But it's not the way you probably know shelters which are in your countries. So in Norway, when you want to rehome a dog, if you can't keep your dog anymore, you normally find a new home via some family and friends, or there are places on Facebook or on the internet where you can post ads, um, or your breeder will help you. So I've had since 2001, when I moved back to Norway. I was 31 years old. I got my first dogs as an adult. I grew up with dogs, but as an adult, I got it when I was 31. I got two dogs, puppies, and from then on, I just went a bit crazy, like the crazy dog lady, because I could. I lived in a huge house with my grandmother in a beautiful place in Norway, big garden, a big house, no children, and all of that. I just had the opportunity to take in more dogs. So I did. So all in all, I've had 14 dogs. Now today I have Wilma. She's in the back sleeping in one chair, and I have the cat Tora in the other chair. At one point, we had 5 dogs and 5 cats, one cat for each dog. The cats were also rehomed. So I have taken in dogs to my home, and when I do that, they're coming to me to stay for the rest of their lives. It's not like they're just here for a period of time and then they go to another permanent home. I am their next permanent home. So I've been taking in dogs, different breeds, different ages, definitely young and older, senior dogs, um, different, for sure, they all had some behavioral issues as well, and different backgrounds. And some of them I knew some part of the background, and some I had no clue. And when I was taking in a new dog to my family of dogs, it was mostly me with my dogs alone. So I had to sort this out by myself. Now, the first thing I did, I'm not saying that you should do the same thing, but for me, one of the first things I learned very early on from a very good friend of mine who actually was the one who I learned a lot from, next to Turid Rugaas. So I want to give her credit. Kjersti is her name, in Norway. And her advice is to manage your environment, to manage the environment, your house, your garden, everything. It will make everything so much easier. So I chose to do that by living or getting places to live where it was dog friendly. I do understand. I'm not saying that you need to do the same thing. I'm just saying, telling my story. So, uh, where I am right now, actually, it's a very small house in the woods in the south of Norway, outside Oslo. I bought this 15 years ago, 15 or 16 years ago. And at the time, I had 8 dogs, and I was actually working as a teacher at the university close by. And so I was working almost full time. I was working full time, but the job I had allowed me to have home office even back then. So I wasn't away for 8 hours a day. Um, so I had a big car, huge car, um, huge car with which could fit all the dogs, and I even had some what you call it in English? It's kind of fences. I should have had pictures now. I don't have them on my computer, but I made my car really dog friendly as well, so I could keep the back door open, with a kind of a fence, so I could leave the door open and I could lock it at the same time. So I could actually leave my car with my dogs inside, kind of safely with the doors locked. The fence we were able to lock that one. So, so it's management. Also to have um, a garden with good fences. Okay, this house is in the woods, like I told you, so it's really not ideal now, 16 years later. To be honest with you, now when I have one dog and one cat, I kind of miss, walking out from my house and going to a grocery shop or the pharmacy or something like that, because I have to get in my car to drive for 30 kilometers every time I do my, just the tiniest grocery shopping. So I guess it's changing. Um, so what you need to remember when you are introducing new dogs to each other, it doesn't matter if they're going to live together or if it's just a friend coming over who is bringing his or her dog. What you do is one very, very easy tip. Doesn't cost anything. You go for a little walk together. Go for a little walk together. Ideally, it should be off leash, but it can also, of course, be on leash. on a long, preferably loose leash. And the walk, that's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be long at all. It could be 5, 10 minutes. And if you have several dogs, do not overwhelm the new dog with letting all your dogs out at the same time. That's not really fair for the new dog. Um, Introduce them one by one. So I wish I could actually show you now, but it's dark outside. But I have this little house here. I have a tiny, not a tiny, but a small garden with, it used to be proper fencing. Now it's really old and it's actually ruined by the snow this winter. So Wilma, she can just walk wherever she wants to. Luckily, Wilma is just very, she loves being home, so she's not walking anywhere far. But outside the fenced area, there's still a big part of my garden. So what I can do is I can take one by one dog out of the house and into the fenced garden, or I can take it out from the garden and to an area, actually the woods, with no fences but bigger space. What the dogs need when they meet the first time is space and choice. So if you live in a house or a small apartment and you have one dog and your friend is coming with her dog and your dogs have never met before, I don't think it's a good idea to meet in a tiny hallway of the house. I would go outside. Ideally, it should be on a neutral place. So it doesn't mean that you have to, drive far away, but it could be ideally outside your garden because depending on your dog as well, of course. Sometimes the garden is fine. I have taken home puppies and rehomed dogs and introduced them in the garden one by one to my dogs. But they didn't have a guarding issue or anything like that. So if they would have that, I would have managed it in a different way. And what I did when I was all by myself, introducing a new dog to, let's say, 5 other dogs, I would go and pick up the new dog, make sure the new dog knew me, of course, met me alone before the other dogs. I did not bring the other dogs when I was picking up the new dog. And then I would let one by one dog out of the house to greet the new one. And I didn't take one dog out and then back in and then swapped with the other dog. It just took one dog out. They sniffed each other. They were okay, and then the next dog and so on. Just so it doesn't get overwhelming for the dog. That's, you know, if you're bringing home a new dog, everything is new to this dog. Whether it's a senior dog being rehomed or an adult dog being rehomed for the 6th time in his life, or a puppy that is leaving his family for the first time, everything is pretty scary. So do not overwhelm them. And what I learned most of, and I've said this many times before, is the less I talk, the better it is. I do not stand there going, "Oh, good boy." Now it's I don't talk to them. But what I do is that I move a little bit. That's why we should go for a walk, a nice, calm walk. Okay? So standing still is, if the dogs are a little bit unsure of each other, standing still is not really a good idea. But moving is, because moving, then it's less chance to have this tension, and there are a lot of smells around. So the place I have now here is actually perfect for doing this. Where I lived before as well, same thing in the woods, and I could take my dogs then one by one outside to meet the new dog. I didn't need to put leashes on, so I could just walk to the woods for a very short walk. Everyone was happy. They were smelling and they were sniffing in the woods. They went to the toilet and all that. I did not start throwing treats around or doing any search games or anything. Smells in the woods or wherever you're walking is good enough. And you don't know if the new dog have any issues with maybe food aggression. So I wouldn't even start, throwing treats around like that. You don't need to do that at all. Um, Before I lived here, I lived in an apartment in a town. It wasn't a big city, but it was in the city center of a small town in Norway. I had two dogs, and I got my third one. It was an adult rehomed dog. I did not have a garden. I lived on the second floor in an apartment building. And when we went out of the house, we came right onto a parking place. So no way I could have them off leash or anything. Then I had to walk somewhere to have them off leash. So the way I did it then, that's when I asked a friend of mine, could you please come tonight and help me to walk my dogs when they first meet each other? So then I brought the new dog home, and then my friend came, and to be honest, I can't remember if I was holding the leash of the new dog or if she was. And that's not really that important. It depends on the dog, I would say, really. So that's up for you to decide, what makes more sense. And then we just went with the three dogs on a relaxed, nice, short walk in the city center on leash. And of course, they're allowed to sniff each other and greet each other on the leash, that's how it's supposed to be. And this is what I've done when I have friends come over to visit me as well, and they have a dog. Um, we always start with going for a walk together. So, going for a walk, saying as little as possible to the dogs. You can talk to your friend, just act normal, calm, and relaxed. And when you then come back to the house, it is a huge difference, because then they are already used to each other, they've smelled each other, and it's a lot less stressful. And also, I want to add that if you're bringing a new dog to your house, puppy or adult dog, I don't care age, please let the new dog have time to investigate and sniff around the whole house by himself. Um, I would even do that if possible. It depends. Again, there is no recipe for this. So it depends on your dogs, on all the dogs. So if the dogs would be fine with a new dog walking around the whole area in your house and sniffing and get used to it, fine. If one dog has an issue with that and starts, running after the new dog or being too excited about the new dog, then I would have the dog outside while the new one is getting to know his home. Because the thing is that you are already eliminating a lot of potential problems and issues if the first meeting is going well. Remember, dogs like us learn by association. So if the first meeting is not good, then you have a bigger chance that they're not going to be, loving each other, at least not the first couple of days. Same thing with us. If you meet a person for the first time who gives a very, very bad impression on you, it's kind of the same thing. So I put a lot of effort in planning when I was taking in a new dog. So I've been doing this then 14 times actually, or 13 then, because at one point had no dogs and I got the first one. So to be fair, so I've done that 13 times with dogs moving into my house, plus all the other times I had people that come, my friends and family that bring their own dogs. So I've been doing it at home a lot of times. Um, and I do spend some time planning it. I don't need really a notebook or anything, but I'm planning how I'm doing it so that I will minimize the risk for any stressful events. Stressful for the dogs and for myself, because I get easily stressed as well. So, does that make sense? And when I was thinking about what to talk about today, I thought, can I really talk about this? Because the only advice is it's actually very, very easy and straightforward. It's to go for a walk, preferably in a neutral area, but so outside your garden, you know. Uh, Let me know in the comments if it makes sense, or send a smiley or a thumb up or something if it makes sense to you what I'm saying. So Peggy is writing, we have 6 dogs and it is the same as you told and management the day. Yeah. So basically confirming. And management is key to as little stress as possible in your everyday life if you have a multi-dog household. Yes, thank you, Jill. Thank you, Rafaela. So that was my topic for today. I don't think I have anything else to say about that in particular. Just remember space to walk away for your dog or for the other dog, space to move, space to show their body language, space to curve. So if you can't be off leash, then have a long leash. And don't start throwing treats around or anything. Uh, and don't speak so much. Don't talk so much. Would you also do this when you have reactive dogs? It depends what kind of reactive dog you're talking about. Like I said, all these dogs had some kind of issues. And I've had many dogs with, for example, food aggression. That's why I don't use treats in these situations, especially when I don't know the dog. Um, but of course, if a dog is a kind of a dog who is very unsecure and fearful and have to have special consideration before meeting another dog, then I would plan it accordingly. Yeah. Maria is saying, what do you think about introduction through fences? That's fine as well, but it's more stressful. Definitely more stressful because then you have 2 dogs. It's much better to meet in an open space where they have the choice and they can sniff each other's back, and because the fence is also not allowing them to do a lot of their normal greeting behavior and sniffing behavior, their body language, how they communicate. So yeah. Is there a webinar on multi-dog household? No, not that I can remember now that we have anywhere. Not sure about the care platform. I don't think so. Multi-dog household it's a huge topic, so it depends on what you want to know. It doesn't work for reactive dogs. I'm not sure what you mean. That's a question, Rafaela. So what doesn't work for reactive dogs? Ingrid is writing, I wish we could get more shelters here in the US to use parallel walks when doing meet and greets. Yeah, not only in the US, everywhere. This is a problem, I think, in general. So for those of you who are new to this, to Nordic dog training, parallel walk is something we call when we walk in the same direction next to each other with enough space for the dogs. We typically use it for dogs that have an issue walking with other dogs that are fearful or, something like that. So Marion is saying we also started with walks and now we let them together in the garden. It worked very well. We had one reactive dog in the group. Yeah. So Rafaela, I meant the meat in a neutral environment. So let me just go and see. It doesn't work for reactive dogs. So you mean it doesn't work for reactive dogs to meet in a neutral environment? I don't know. It depends on the. When people are referring to reactive dogs, I need to know what the issue is and the personality of the dog. All the circumstances. I would never give an advice, and I can't say yes or no on a question like this online before I know a lot more about the dog. Yeah. So because reactive is like, what do you mean by that? What do other people mean by that? So I've had many reactive dogs. It depends on what you mean, in what situations. Why are they reactive? Very good question to ask. Why are you reactive? But I've had nervous dogs, anxious dogs, fearful dogs, and they can react when they meet other dogs on leash, for example. And those dogs, it's not a problem to have, introduced to other dogs off leash. So again, what we have to, and this is what I say a lot of times, but I really want you to think about it. What we need to do, all of us, and this is how I learned about behavior, is that you have to get as much knowledge about dogs' natural behavior and the way they are communicating, so they were, the dog's language. And then you have to apply it to each individual dog you meet for the rest of your life, just like with humans. Because a lot of the questions that I get is questions that you can answer yourself. You just have to think about it. And you have to stop depending on instruction lists, like, what you call them again? IKEA manuals, This is how you put together an IKEA bed or, some other nightmare IKEA furniture. I'm saying nightmare IKEA because I don't like to do these things. Some people love to do it, but you cannot expect to give. It's like a baby. Why are babies crying? If you ask me, why are babies crying? I don't know. What time of the day is it? Is it during the night? Is the baby fed? Is the baby cold? Is it, it's like, yeah. So you have to get the knowledge. When you have the knowledge, what is a reactive dog? Yeah. A reactive dog is a dog that is reacting. The way we talk about reactive dogs is generally a dog that is showing more or less aggressive behavior when they meet another dog. But in what circumstances is that? Is that only on leash? Is it off leash? Is it on their own um, property? Is it, when they are in heat? Is there, it's like, is the dog in pain? Why is it reactive? What was my point again? My point is that when you know these things, and this is what helped me in the beginning when I started getting more and more dogs, and I had 8 at the most at the same time, and I didn't have 14 at the same time. I had 8 at the same time, and they were all male dogs, by the way. One was neutered, the other one wasn't, because in Norway it's actually not allowed, it's illegal to neuter dogs unless there is a medical reason. I know if there is any Norwegian listening to this, I know there are definitely veterinarians who's still doing it, but by law it's not allowed. So I had 7, and I know a lot of people would be like, whoa, 7 male dogs that was not castrated, and one was at the same time, and it was never a problem. Seriously, when I started experiencing, problems in the family internally, it was with when I got the female dogs. I'm not saying anything, but when the women arrive, that's when the trouble starts, right? So yeah, you have to think what would be logical now in this situation with this dog and this dog. And that's the interesting thing about it. Then I also urge you not to be afraid to try out different things. I didn't, I had to plan this the first time I did it. I had to think, so, okay, I'm bringing this new dog home tomorrow. I have two other dogs at home. How would I best do it? And so on. So I didn't have a manual for it. So I just had to figure it out. But I didn't figure it out by just letting them all, in the car together, for example, the first time, or in a small place. That's why I said in a small hallway, inside a house or a flat is always smaller than outside, isn't it? So, space so that you can give the dogs that meet the choice to walk away and to have the distance they want, if they want. Maybe they don't need anything. Maybe it's all fine, 95% of the time or 98% of the time. I never had a problem with this, really. And when I did have a problem, I can't even recall a special situation where I had a problem introducing two dogs. But if it was, if I wasn't sure if it was going to be a problem, then I put a leash on one of them. Linda is saying, how do you determine the cause of aggressive behavior? Then typically what we do is we meet the dog and the owner for a consultation. And then, of course, first of all, make sure the dog has no health issues or pain issues. And then have a behavior consultation and find out often we don't know why. Maybe you will never know. Um, the most important thing is that we know how the dog is behaving now and how we can help, moving forward. And my 10-year-old has started aggressive behavior with other dogs when out for walks. I do not know if it's from fear, trying to protect me, or it started after my hip operation. Yeah, so maybe he's protecting you. Could be all kinds of reasons. So that's why it's important that you meet someone who knows a lot about behavior, um, and can help you find out. From the information you're giving me now, there's no way I can say anything about this, and we have to see it. We have to see the dog's behavior. We don't have to see the aggressive behavior, but we have to see the behavior. Typically, we see the behavior in what we call an enriched environment with the owner. So, yeah, we can see a lot of the personality there. And the more information we get about the dog's behavior and history, we are more able to. We're working as detectives together with the dog owner. Okay, so already been talking for 35 minutes. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I will be back next Wednesday at 7. And just going to check if there are any more questions. You need to write them now within the next 30 seconds. Normally, I don't reply to questions after the Facebook Live, but you can see the recordings in videos in our Facebook page. All the recordings of our previous lives. I think there are more than 100 now. So you're very welcome, Linda. I hope you're able to get some help. And everyone else, good luck with introducing your dogs. And please do so quite, maybe depending on you, of course, but many of us, and I'm including myself now, should do that more often to our dogs, to let our dogs meet new dogs more often than they do. Yeah, because they need their social walks, they need to be with other dogs, all of that. How to deal with resource ownership with the guardian in homes with more than one dog. That's a bigger topic that we can talk about some other time. And that's something that we talk a little bit about in level 1 and a lot about in level 3. So, okay. I'm just going to check the chat that I didn't miss anything. Okay. Level 1 starts, I think it's the 16th of September. Just let me double check the calendar. Monday, the 16th of September. We will notify you when the registration's open. It's not open yet. But we'll open the CARE membership program in May. Let me just check the calendar again. So the CARE membership, it opens the 20th of May until the 26th of May. And inside our membership platform, you can get help from Monica, she's here already, and all our other teachers. You can get help in the forums with your dogs and more training for general behavior and maybe a little bit misbehavior as well. Okay, so I'll see you next week, maybe. Thank you for coming tonight. Bye.